They say that one day the Prophet was sitting amongst his companions and he said to everybody, I was a prophet before Allah created Adam. I was a prophet. Some hadiths say 100 years, some hadiths say 1,000 years. But the Prophet said, I was a prophet years before Adam was created. Or whilst Adam was being created, I was a prophet. So the companions objected. They had a bit of an issue with this statement. And they used to have an issue with a lot of statements, as we discussed yesterday as well. A lot of things didn't really make sense to them. So they said to the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, if you were a prophet before the creation of Adam, then we have a question. What's the question? A prophet, when he becomes a prophet, the only way he can declare his prophethood is how? Is if a man testifies to his prophethood. A man has to be a witness. You need to have a gawar that has to say, I testify he was a prophet. Unless, you can't. So when Dawat-e-Dhul Ashira happened, and Allah said to the Prophet, warn your family about Islam. Tell them you are the messenger. What did the Prophet say? He says, I am the messenger of God. Is there anybody here that will support me, testify to my nabuwat right now? Why? Because the Prophet knows unless someone testifies, unless you have one supporter, unless you have one witness, you can't declare your prophethood. So now the Sahaba thinking, hold on a minute, Rasulullah is saying that he was a prophet 1,000 years before Adam was created. Who's going to be a witness to this? Let's catch him. Ya Rasulullah, who is your witness? At that moment, Imam Ali stands up. Amir al-Mu'mineen says what? He turns towards the Ashab and he says, what do you guys know? I testify that he was a prophet 1,000 years before the creation of Adam. And not only that, I testify that I was the wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 1,000 years before the creation of Adam. Amir al-Mu'mineen. You sit here today in 2022 and you argue, who is the successor of the Prophet? Was it this man? Was it this man? What's the proofs? Where do you bring this wilayat from? We say, you guys are arguing about the Khilafat of this world. Amir al-Mu'mineen was the Khalifa of Rasulullah before mankind was created. Amir al-Mu'mineen was the Khalifa of Rasulullah 1,000 years before Adam was created. Amir al-Mu'mineen was the second thing that Allah created. The nur of the Prophet was the first thing. From that nur Allah created Amir al-Mu'mineen.